Cameras are internal.
And you are currently seeing live views inside the Dragon capsule. The crew is currently gathering materials for a demo that they'll be doing around 9:45 a.m. Central Time. SpaceX installed a new piece of hardware to their waste system. The crew will demo this with saline solution during their flight to validate the design in zero-G environment. Again, we're expecting that demo to begin around 9:45 a.m. Central Time. If you're just joining us, you're seeing live coverage of the NASA SpaceX Crew-5 mission to the International Space Station. The Crew Dragon crew is currently awake, and we have views inside the capsule as they prepare for a demo. SpaceX installed a new piece of hardware to the waste system. The crew will demo this with saline solution during their flight to validate the design in zero-G environment. The crew had a successful launch at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 Eastern Time yesterday from the 39A, the Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. We're expecting the crew to dock to the International Space Station at 3:57 p.m. Central Time, 4:57 p.m. Eastern. The crew is currently in hour 22 of 29 in the chase to dock to the International Space Station. The crew had a nominal or a good close co-elliptic burn that started around 9:16 and was about a 10-minute burn, bringing the Dragon into a co-elliptic orbit, meaning that it would shadow the space station, and the space station was 6 miles below the Crew Dragon Endurance. The next burn that is expected is the transfer burn, and we're looking for that burn to happen about 42 minutes from now.
Dragon for disk demo.
Go ahead for demo, Nicole.
Okay, we have the equipment gathered, and we are going to proceed if you're ready.
We are all ready to go here on the ground, and we'll be following along and backing you up.
Okay, do you want the real-time handheld camera while we do this?
And negative, not necessary, given the cameras that are in the procedure. We are planning on pulling up the cargo cam, so that way we'll have some general awareness on there. But no need for flotocam.
Sounds good. Just let us know if you need another view, and we are stepping into step 1.
If you're just joining us, you're watching live mission coverage of the Crew Dragon Crew-5 mission to the International Space Station. You just heard the Corps speaking to Commander Nicole Mann, who is confirming that they are ready for a demo test. The demo is for SpaceX, which installed a new piece of hardware to the waste system. The crew will demo this with a saline solution during their flight to validate the design in a zero-G environment. Again, you're viewing live into MCCX in Hawthorne, California, SpaceX's Mission Control Center. We're currently 22 hours into a 29-hour chase for the Crew-5 Crew Dragon Endurance to dock to the International Space Station. The crew currently has an expected docking time for 6 hours and 6 minutes from now. Again, we're looking for docking to happen around 3:57 p.m. Central Time, 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time. Next up for the crew is a transfer burn. We're looking for that transfer burn to happen around 28 minutes from now. It should last less than a minute, and it raises the Dragon's orbit so that it's just 1.5 miles below the International Space Station at the highest point in its orbit. The Crew-5 astronauts consist of NASA astronaut and Dragon commander Nicole Mann, NASA astronaut and Dragon pilot Josh Cassada, mission specialist JAXA astronaut Koichi Wakata, and Russian cosmonaut Anna Kikina. Again, the crew is in 22 hours, almost 23 hours into a 29-hour chase. That's right, we're expecting the crew to dock to the International Space Station at 3:57 p.m. Central Time, 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time, joining Expedition 68. Currently aboard the International Space Station, including the Crew-4 astronauts, are NASA's Kjell Lindgren, Bob Hines, Jessica Watkins, and the current station commander and European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Christopher Reddy. They arrived back in April of 2022 and are set to come home just next week. Also on board the station is NASA astronaut Frank Rubio and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Prokopyev and Dmitry Petelin, who recently arrived to the station about 2 weeks ago aboard a Soyuz spacecraft. With the addition of Crew-5, we'll have 11 people aboard the International Space Station for a short period of time. The crew aboard the International Space Station is currently in a nap period, and they're napping in preparation for the arrival of Crew-5. Again, we're expecting the docking time to be around 3:57 p.m. Central Time, 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time. Being on Greenwich Mean Time, the International Space Station crew would have had a very long day as they awaited the arrival of Crew-5. So they're currently in a nap period. They started the nap around 7:30 a.m. Central Time and will awake around 1 p.m. Central Time to continue the preparations for the arrival of Crew Dragon Endurance. You're currently seeing a dual box, and on the left-hand side is MCCX, or the mission control for SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. On your right, you're seeing MCCH, or mission control Houston, and that is NASA's International Space Station Flight Control Room. Both have roles that are happening simultaneously. SpaceX's mission control is where teams are monitoring Dragon and checking all of its systems out. They also will make sure that the crew has a safe journey, monitoring their progress along the way. One of the key roles you'll see is a mission director in SpaceX, who has the correspondence with our flight director here in MCCH. You also hear what's referred to as the core talk to the crew. The core is the crew operations and resource engineer. We have a similar role here, and it's called the CAPCOM, and CAPCOM stands for Capsule Communicator. Capsule Communicator is the only person in the room here at Mission Control Houston that will talk to the crew. You currently see on your screen Amy Dill. She'll be the CAPCOM today for docking. Next to her on the bottom of your screen is the flight director, Greg Whitney, who led teams in the launch yesterday and who's also back currently for the approach and docking phase. Craig Whitney is also the lead flight director for Crew-5, and we'll see them throughout this mission. If you're just joining us, you're watching live coverage of NASA's SpaceX Crew-5 mission to the International Space Station. The crew had a successful launch from the Kennedy Space Center at Launch Complex 39A in Cape Canaveral, Florida, yesterday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 Eastern Time. We are currently in a free flight or approach rendezvous and approach profile. We are looking for the Crew Dragon Endurance to have a transfer burn about 15 minutes from now. The transfer burn is supposed to last less than a minute, but it raises the Dragon's orbit to that, which is just 1.5 miles below the International Space Station at the highest point in its orbit. The Crew Dragon crew aboard Crew Dragon Endurance is awake, and they're currently performing an absorption test or demo. This test is for SpaceX. SpaceX installed a new piece of hardware to the waste system. The crew will demo this with saline solution during their flight to validate the design in a zero-G environment.
Dragon, no response required. Ground has pulled go for the upcoming transfer burn.
SpaceX Dragon for burst disk.
And go ahead for burst disk, Nicole.
Okay, I've got good news. In step 8, we did the incremental water injections, and at the final injection at 10 mils, the disk did burst, so we feel no flow through the funnel, and we have verified flow near the burst disk.
Okay, copy that. At the 10 mil level, you did see a burst disk and are feeling a flow there, and then no flow at the other portion of the system. For our awareness as well, can you confirm or deny that it is a full tear at the burst disk around the rim, or just any additional words on what that looks like?
Okay, Josh is looking through the mesh now. I think we'll get a better idea once we take the mesh off, but he can see through the mesh at least a quarter-size hole in the burst disk.
Okay, copy that. Quarter-size hole in the burst disk, and you'll get more.
Correction, $50.
Very important. Science is cool.
On with step 8, and we'll report back once we get the mesh off and take a look.
SpaceX copies. We're with you in step 8.
You just heard Core Michael Blasco at MCCX, SpaceX's Mission Control in Hawthorne, California, confirm with the crew that they have completed the demo or the absorption test. The absorption test was for SpaceX, which installed a new piece of hardware to the waste system. The crew demoed this with saline solution and are looking to validate the design in a zero-G environment. The demo went well, and the crew is now looking towards that next burn. That's a transfer burn. We're looking for it to happen about 3 minutes from now. That transfer burn will be about a minute, and it raises the Dragon's orbit so that it is just 1.5 miles below the International Space Station at the highest point in its orbit. Again, looking for that burn to happen in about 3 minutes. And we're about 1 minute, 30 seconds from that transfer burn.
Dragon, no response required, approximately 1 minute out from the burn.
And that transfer burn has begun.
Nominal transfer burn.
And you just heard it, we had a good transfer burn. Next up for the crew will be a final co-elliptic burn. Looking for that burn to happen about 45 minutes from now.